You're watching a More Beautiful World podcast with Susan Renee, a channel for those of you with open minds and courageous hearts who are looking for guidance on your trauma healing and personal transformation journeys. Here, I share with you the powers of intentional plant medicine use, along with other holistic therapies and spiritual guidance to guide you on your path forward. I'm so eager to share with you what I've learned in working with these sacred plant medicines on my own journey, including the knowing that what we do to heal ourselves, we do to heal the whole collective. Join me as I share my experiences, knowledge, and wisdom to guide your trauma healing so you can transform your life, and so that together we can create the more beautiful world we all know is possible. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of A More Beautiful World. And in today's episode, I am going to teach you how to bring newness into your life to fuel your growth and transformation. You see, the reason you want to bring newness into your life is to bring in new knowledge. And then you integrate that knowledge into your life and you use it to change your energy and fuel your transformation. So today, I'll be diving into how you can invite newness into your life, along with why this is so important for your trauma healing journey. So, if you are eager to learn how to disrupt your patterns and programs to really unstuck yourself from feeling stagnant in life, and if you're ready to discover how to bring in newness into your life to fuel your transformation, then this episode is for you. So I have a quick ask for all my listeners before we dive into this episode. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please drop me a rating or a review below. I would really love so much to know what you think about this podcast, and your support and rating me does help me get these messages out to the world. Also, make sure to follow the pod while you're there. And of course, if you are watching me on YouTube, remember to like this video and subscribe for more. Okay, now let's dig into this episode. So I go back to something I read from Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it was in his book, Becoming Supernatural. And that is, he says, if you want to change your life, you've got to change your energy. And really, the only way to do that is to disrupt, right, what you're currently doing. You need to disrupt the programs, the patterns, and that, same old shit, different day life that you have. Because true transformation happens when we can transform our energy. And when we can really, shift our neurosynaptic pathways out of the old programming and create new pathways and new programs for ourselves. That is how we create new energy in our body, mind, and spirit. So I actually started out the idea for this podcast. I was really feeling into how do we turn knowledge into wisdom, and how do we integrate that new knowledge into our life, after we have these transformational experiences, and turn it into wisdom for ultimate transformation in our lives. But then I thought to myself, what about those folks out there who haven't had transformational experiences, who maybe aren't even having new experiences in their life? What about those of you out there? Because I know some of you who are listening, this is going to resonate with you. You are desiring, right, these new experiences, some transformation in your life, but you haven't yet pulled the trigger on making any of these changes and inviting in new energy. So I thought to myself, what needs to happen before you can even think about integration, right? Before you even think about turning knowledge into wisdom in this grand transformational process in life. So, with that, this episode was born, and we are going to talk about newness today. And ultimately, again, how you can bring newness into your life to gain knowledge. Because then you turn that knowledge into wisdom as you integrate it into your life. And that allows you to change your energy and transform your life. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves because I'm super excited to bring that episode to you. But again, we needed to start at the foundation because that's where it all begins. And so, with that, I always, you guys know me by now, or maybe you're a new listener, you're just getting to know me. But I love starting off by really clarifying what I mean when I use certain words. So, let's define newness a little bit here, because the dictionary would define newness pretty simply. It is the state or quality of being new, novel, or unused. I'd personally like to expand on that a little bit for this episode and really say and define newness as bringing in new, novel experiences, people, or things into your life in order to expand your level of self awareness, to fuel your growth, and to allow for your spiritual expansion. Another few words I really like in regards to newness, which I guess we would call these maybe synonyms to newness, are novelty, innovation, originality, freshness, strangeness, and unfamiliarity. So, a key thing I really am thinking about newness as I'm feeling into that is that we all need this, right? We all need some novelty, some innovation, some originality, some freshness into our lives to prevent us from stagnating. And on the contrary, right? This newness, this novelty, this innovation, originality, it allows us to step into realms of expanded self awareness. And that is where growth, that is where self development, the spiritual expansion, and ultimately transformation can take place. So, what might it feel like when you need newness in your life? Maybe you've been listening for the last several minutes and you're like, hey, Susan, I'm not really sure what you mean by newness. And do I need newness in my life? Am I stuck? Let's talk about that. I mentioned a phrase earlier, and I'm curious if you've ever said this to someone. Maybe you say it often, when someone's like, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? How was the day? And you say, up, same old shit, different day. Right? That's a pretty common phrase I hear from folks, or a variation of it, and so that can be a sign for newness. But ask yourself, can you almost predict, what will transpire in each day or week or month that passes in your life? Do you maybe even feel limited or restricted in your life? Perhaps even unnecessarily. When we have a need for newness, we can get in this same old shit, different day kind of energy. And furthermore, you may even experience feelings where you feel numb. You might feel bored or stagnant. You could even feel that your relationships aren't as fulfilling as they once were. Or maybe you have a lot of superficial relationships in your life. It could also be when you need some newness, there could be a fear of the unknown showing up quite a bit. And really that fear, even though you have a calling for something different and you're desiring something more, the fear keeps coming up. All right. These are all very normal feelings when your body, your mind, and your spirit are craving newness. So maybe you resonate with some of those. And maybe you don't. But stick with me because I trust this podcast will still have some delicious tidbits for you. But with these emotions, with these feelings and these underlying needs for newness, as I've seen, in both myself and in working with clients, I see a lot of these feelings and emotions come up when there is a history of trauma. right? And I would argue we all have different levels of trauma that we experience in our lives, which means we all somewhere possibly have this desire for newness, depending on where we're at in our life. But because when we go through trauma, right, what happens is we get very guarded. We create all of these self-protection measures to really keep ourselves safe. And when we guard ourselves, when we have all these self-protection measures, it brings in a lot of patterns and programs and habits to keep ourselves safe. And that actually entrenches us and gets us stuck inside of these routines or patterns to make sure that we always do stay safe. Right. And when we want to heal from trauma and really heal the root cause, we have to break away from these routines, from these patterns, keeping us stuck in this trauma cycle. And in order to truly change and to truly transform your life, again, it is these patterns, these routines, this energy space that needs to change. This is the root cause. And I'll be honest, it's not a simple solution. Okay, I'm not here saying that just by bringing newness into your life, you're going to heal all of your trauma. I wish it were that simple. Though I will say, as I've seen it and I've experienced it, bringing in newness does help fuel the transformation in your life, and it will guide the trauma healing. So it can very much be an integral part of healing and transformation work. So let's remember, tribe, that you are the creator of your world, and you get to decide what you want to do in your life and what you want to do with your life. So even if you have a history of trauma, right? And the trauma and the experiences you've gone through have been telling you otherwise, right? They've been telling you you're a victim. I'm here to tell you, you are not. You are the captain of your own destiny, and you really do get to create your own reality. So with that, I'm going to invite you as we dig into some of the meat of this podcast. I invite you to start asking yourself, what do you want your life to look like? If you are the creator of your life, what do you want it to look like? And for this podcast, think about what new step or new steps you can take to get there. So before we dive into how to invite newness into your life, I always love to talk about what benefits we can get out of some of these practices. So what exactly does newness have to offer, right? And what does stepping into newness really have as a benefit to you on your transformation journey? So I've touched on it a little bit already, but your main benefit that you get from bringing in newness is you get knowledge. You get new knowledge, new information that you are bringing in. And this is knowledge gained through the new learning experiences, right? Through any of the new experiences. It's really this gaining of additional perspective. And it is this knowledge that you get from these new experiences that you can turn into wisdom. And that wisdom becomes wisdom for you to make different choices and how you approach your life, different choices in how you are creating your life. Because as you integrate that knowledge that you've gained through these new experiences into your life, it becomes your wisdom. And then that wisdom transforms you as it becomes your guiding light in your life for creating that new life. So we're going to get more into the turning the knowledge into wisdom and really powering, up and fueling that transformation piece. We're going to get more into that in a future episode, maybe future episodes. But for now, let's talk about what are some ways to experience newness, right? And to bring in that new perspective, that new experience, that new knowledge. Where do you start? So we're going to talk about kind of how I would recommend you lean into this, bring some newness in. I'm going to also share with you some ideas for possibly bringing in some new experiences into your life to wrap us up today. But first, let's start with what I believe is a key factor in bringing newness into your life. And that is to tap into the intention for why you want to bring newness into your life. So, with that, ask yourself, why do I want newness in my life? What are you eager to change in your life? And this is really getting at what is the why behind your desire for newness? What is your why behind your desire for transforming your life? Because the more that you can actually get clarity around your why, the better it will serve you to bring in the new experiences and the new knowledge. So I invite you to just get really honest with yourself about where you're at right now. And see what feelings come up. Maybe you resonate with some of those feelings I shared earlier. But once you kind of feel where you're at right now, then get as clear as you can on where you want to go and why you want to do it. Now, again, as I have approached newness in my life and as I've worked with some clients and kind of navigating how to bring newness into their lives, I have found that actually using fear as a guide is really helpful for this. So again, I think and really feel and have experienced that our greatest potential for growth really lies in moving past the boundaries of our fears, which are our conditioned, right, limiting beliefs, right? Some of these programs and patterns lie in our fears. So when something starts to feel kind of scary, as even I think about change, I know that this is where my potential for growth and expansion really lies in some of the biggest and most profound ways that can really fuel my transformation. So pushing into the fears and really feeling into them as I set my intentions, just as I've gone through this process in my life, as I push past that fear, and really lean into it, it has really proved immensely helpful on my journey. And so I've used fear a lot to, set some intentions and get into some of the why, because I really would rather live in love and not fear, which I have a whole episode on that if you want to check that one out. But ultimately, again, it goes back to tapping into your intention. Ask yourself simply, why do I want newness in my life? Maybe use your fears to guide you, as you feel into this. Maybe even, journal it out a little bit to get that clarity. But start there, because anytime you're going to make some changes in your life, it's important to have it connected back into your why to keep you motivated and to keep the momentum moving forward in making the change and the shift. So from there, okay, you get your why. You get clear on where you want to go. All right. Next up is your brainstorm. So ask yourself, what are 30 different ways that you can bring newness into your life to help you create the life that you desire? And feel into that intention, right? Feel back into the why to guide your brainstorming session. But even maybe challenge yourself more than 30. Are there 100 different ways that you can bring in newness? And get kind of clever and creative in your brainstorming here. Don't censor yourself as you do this, right? Almost, when you are brainstorming, right? You never really want to censor yourself, but really use this as a creative exercise. Creativity alone helps us get out of our subconscious patterns. So use creativity here as you brainstorm, because that alone, that creative energy will help you bring in newness. So I want to tell you a story here about how I've used this in my own life. And I want to tell you about when I actually got divorced. Obviously, divorce is a huge life transition. And really, after, being married for almost 4 years and in the relationship for 6, post-divorce, I had no freaking clue what to do with myself. Everything had changed. I went from living in, a big house to living in a very small condo. I went from, being married, living with my spouse to being single. Lots and lots and lots of change. So it was a huge time of transition in my life, and I was stuck in a lot of icky trauma related patterns at the time. And I had a mentor ask me during that time, what I really wanted to do. And I really wasn't too sure. So this also goes if you're lacking a little bit of like clarity and intention on what you want to do, this can also be a good use for newness. But my mentor tasked me and kind of challenged me to do 30 days of newness. And that was to do at least one thing every day for 30 days that was new, to really help break up my patterns and to help facilitate my healing process and really help me in creating my new life. So, I didn't know what the heck to do, but I did a brainstorming session and I listed out about 50 or so things because I wanted to have, some options in what I was going to bring in new every day. And I kind of included a variety, I'll say. I included some really short, easy things. I included some like longer, more complex things in my newness. But, I'll tell you what I ended up doing for 30 days straight. I did something new every day. Now, again, this looked more simple some days than others, but, and I'll give you a few examples here. I hiked some new trails, around Phoenix. That's when I was living there. I cooked some new recipes, be them breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts. I listened to new songs. I started really expanding like my music library during that time, new artists, new songs. I made it a point to go out and meet new people and introduce myself to new people, be it at farmers markets or at grocery stores. I read new books, anything new. Right. Those are some of the things I did. And I'll give you some more examples about maybe some newness activities you can bring in next. But I'll be honest, at the time, again, I didn't know as well then. That I was a creator in my life. I was still kind of in victim mentality. And so I kind of missed that first step of like really tapping into setting my intention. But even if the main intention is just to get out of a rut and move on with your life, going through a cycle of 30 days of newness is really helpful. It really allowed me to just explore more of myself. And again, to break up some of those patterns and start to create some space for more intentions, for more desires to come in and what I even wanted in life. So I say all of that to say that brainstorming is a really beautiful way to start to invite newness into your life. Again, I wrote out a list of about 50 or so things and just randomly picked one each day. At the time I was meditating, so I'd meditate and then after I'd check in and say, okay, this is how I'm feeling today. What is the new activity I can bring in that feels in alignment today? So get to your brainstorming. And again, if you can, tie them back to your intention. If not, that's okay. Just get really creative in this part of the exercise. No restrictions on yourself. And again, make sure you add in some variety. So as you're doing like stream of consciousness of all these new things that you've always wanted to try, right? Make sure some are kind of quick and easy. Make sure some are like a little more long and thought out. But this way, you can really make sure that you have this diversity and variety of newness that you can bring in to your life with ease. Now, next up, all right, we've got to make time and space for the newness. So kind of going back into more some intention setting, set the intention that, or really even make the time and space that you are going to do something new every single day, every single, Saturday, every Monday morning, every Sunday night. Like just choose whatever day, time, or days, times, that you can commit to. But I would, really encourage you, like, put it in your calendar, set reminders, like really, really, really commit to it and making this time and space for it. And if you set yourself up well in your brainstorming session, then when it does come time that you have, committed and set aside for this newness, you're going to have a really easy time knowing what you want to do. And you might even start to get really excited for your newness time in your calendar. And you might already have it picked out of like what you want to do and what you want to bring in for that time based on your brainstorming list. So again, when I was kind of in this swirl of newness and like figuring out my life, one of the things I did for my newness was I dedicated time on Sunday mornings, my spiritual Sunday mornings. They're very much my sacred day, but I really wanted to deepen my spiritual practices. That was my intention. And so I brainstormed a list of like all these different ways to deepen my spiritual practice. And then I carved out my time on Sunday mornings. I was like, okay, I know I can't do all of this every day for like self-care and spiritual time. So I'm going to do it on my Sundays, which is where I gave myself a lot more time and space. So I carved out the time and I started doing all sorts of new things for my spiritual Sunday practice. And they really did help me deepen, in my spirituality. I started going, that's when I started going to Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center. I started watching more spiritual talks online during that time. I got more into breath work and doing like guided breath work sessions. I also started getting more into guided meditations, doing different types of meditations. I also got into yoga and doing some more and different types of yoga during my spiritual Sundays. But again, all of that really helped me to cultivate my current daily self-care routine, as well as it also helped me expand, again, my knowledge, that I have now turned into wisdom to know what I need to do to care for myself. And also some really beautiful ways to help you, right? To help my clients and to ultimately, again, go on this journey of deepening my spirituality. So if you, I say all that again to say, make time and space for it, because it was those Sunday mornings that really, and dedicating myself to that. And I still do deeper levels of practice on Sundays, but it was during that time where it really opened up my spirituality. It's really guided me to where I am today. So set some time and space, whatever it looks like for you, if it's once a week, if it's once a day, whatever it is you can commit to, write it in your calendar and commit to it. Because once you do that, it's going to take us to our next step. And that is, you've got to do it. Okay. You have to actually do the thing, take an action in newness when you have that sacred time and space set away, right? That is just a key piece to all of this, because we can want and hope and desire all this newness and have all these great ideas, but until we actually like put one foot in front of the other and do the thing, it's all for naught. Okay, so that one I'm not going to belabor the point, because you just got to show up for yourself and you've just got to do it. And if you're having trouble doing the thing, bringing in the newness, get on my calendar, even just for that free clarity call. Let me motivate you and let's talk about why you're not doing it. Okay. So after you do the thing, then you got to capture the experience, because this is where you want to capture the knowledge that you have gleaned from this new experience. Okay. And this is going to be key as we move into future podcast episodes, talking about turning knowledge into wisdom, as we really want to make sure you do a good job at capturing the experience. So make sure you also have a little bit of time to capture what transpired. in this new experience. I would say doing this by journaling, maybe even doing a little voice note to yourself, like whatever way it is you want to capture it is fine. It can just even be a few snippets, a few sentences. But part of the way to really shift your energy is to capture the knowledge that you receive from these new experiences. So again, maybe your newness is something more simple, like trying a new recipe. But that alone, right? It's a great practice to start anyway in capturing the experiences. Maybe if it is a recipe, right? How did you like it? Right? Reflect on how did you like it? What was the new tastes you experienced? How did it feel making something new? Right? Again, it can be really simple in capturing, but capture that knowledge, capture the emotions that you've gone through in this new experience. Because as you possibly start to do some more complex newness activities, maybe you end up in a week-long yoga retreat, or you do a weekend breathwork retreat, or you do a plant medicine sit, right? Some of these bigger, grander, more transformational type new experiences, you want to make sure you're cultivating really the skill to I guess almost have the discipline to capture the knowledge that you gain from these experiences, because that will take you far. And again, I'm going to expand on capturing this knowledge and really journaling, journaling it out more. I'm going to dig into this more when we talk about integrating this knowledge into your life to turn it into wisdom. But again, that's on a future, possibly the next episode for you all. So as we wrap up this podcast, right? If you are not sure where to start, let me give you a little newness cheat sheet. Okay. And really, that is just I'm going to share some of my favorite things that have helped me over the years when I'm feeling stuck in a rut and when I'm feeling like I need to bring something new into my life. So here's just a quick list of things you can consider for your brainstorming. Listening to new artists, to new songs, to new music. In that space, as you're listening to the new songs, maybe creating a little dance party with yourself, doing some new movements with your body, bringing in a yoga practice, trying out new yoga classes, doing new YouTube videos of yoga in your own home, spending time in nature, exploring a new place out in nature, be it hiking a new trail, traveling to a new place out in nature. Maybe there are places just right around you that you haven't even explored yet. Try out a new park, getting into new meditations. So if you've been meditating for a while, maybe try a different song to meditate to, a different sound healing frequency. Maybe try a guided meditation. If you haven't yet, or maybe you have done it, but breath work, bring in some new breath work. Or breath work in general, if you've never done it. Bring in some new recipes, get some healthy meals going. Try a new breakfast, a new lunch, a new dinner recipe. Hey, try a new dessert recipe. Get yourself a new book. Start reading on a new topic that you've been interested in learning more about. Try learning a new language, even just a couple phrases in a new language. See how that feels. Watch some YouTube videos to learn something new about something you are passionate about. Maybe you want to learn how to tune up your mountain bike, or maybe you want to learn how to make some jewelry. Whatever it is, there's probably a YouTube video for that. So a great way to bring in newness. Go out and meet some new people. Doesn't just have to be a dating site. Right? It can be introducing yourself to the clerk at the grocery store and just giving a friendly smile and saying hello. Sign up for a new class. Lots of new classes always happening in areas around you. So seek out a new class, sign up for it. Maybe take a day trip. Go out, experience again a new city, a new town, a new restaurant. Any of it's fair game. Maybe book that vacation you've always wanted, as long as it hits on the newness, my friends, because the list can go on and on and on and on. Though hopefully that gives you some amazing ideas to start your brainstorming session. Okay, so now you have the simple path to follow to what I'm calling to unstuck yourself. And hopefully, you've heard really the most powerful piece of advice in this episode, which is you've just got to do the thing, right? If you are desiring, to transform your life and you want to bring newness in, whatever it is that you decide on, if you want to bring newness into your life, you still got to do the thing. Actually, go out and do it. And just know I believe in you. And I know that you can take this first step and turn this knowledge, from this podcast into action for yourself. And remember, we can, I've been guilty of it. We can pray all day and hope for and wish for and desire, but we've got to put that action behind it so that the universe knows it is time to step up and support us. So make sure you do what we talked about here today. Get clear on your intentions if you can. Why do you want to transform your life? What are you desiring in your life? And then list out all the ways you can bring in newness into your life to bring in that desire, or just bring in newness in general to explore things and get out of a rut. Then make sure you make time for it. And then, of course, do it, do the thing. And then practice capturing the experience and how you feel and what it felt like in the new moment. Okay, again, we'll have more in a future episode on what to do next with all that knowledge that you're going to be gaining from these new activities. So stay tuned for more to come on that soon. But for now, my dear tribe, that is it for this episode on bringing in newness to transform your life. And hey, good work to you. Pat yourself on the back because you just listened to a new podcast. So you get to check off your newness box already for today. So, tribe, let's remember this is all about making the world a more beautiful place. And that begins with you. Because as you better yourself and you move through your own healing and your own transformation journey, you really do beautify our world. So I hope you found this episode helpful. I appreciate you so much being on your healing and transformation journey with me. As always, if you need support on your journey as you're healing from the trauma or as you're integrating plant medicine journeys or other transformational experiences, make sure you grab your free clarity call with me below, because I would be so honored to guide you on your trauma healing and your personal transformation journey. That is all, though, for today, tribe. Until next time, much love to you all. Hey tribe, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button below and then click subscribe so you catch future episodes. And remember, I've got lots of free resources for you to learn about the powers of intentional plant medicine use in order to support your trauma healing and personal transformation journey. So make sure you check them out in the description below and help in making this a more beautiful world for us all. Thanks again for tuning in, tribe. And until next time, much love to you all.